Hello, welcome to or back to my channel. My name is Angel. Thank you for stopping, thank you for clicking, and thank you for watching. I said it in the right order. That's excellent. Yeah, today I'm going to be doing a VR to Lady Knight of Avalon, hashtag shopping for tarot. So we're going to jump straight in with both feet. The first prompt is, what was the last deck you bought and why? Now, the last deck I bought is still in the packaging or still in the plastic because I only got it yesterday. That was this deck, which I'm not going to say what it is, but you can read what it is. And it's by Samantha West. And the reason that I bought it was that I really enjoy her work, her decks. I've also got the Rainbow Moon Tarot and even the Macabre Tarot. So that's the reason I bought this one. As I mentioned, I got this. I had got this in the post when I got home last night and haven't opened it yet. So that'll be being opened a little bit later today. This was another recent purchase, or a deck that I've received really recently. This is the Monsoon Tarot. This was a Kickstarter that I backed. So this is I also received this yesterday. Yeah, so it just happened they come on the same day. Although this one obviously was, I backed this quite a few months ago now. So that's that. And why did I back this one? I backed this one because, as you'll see from the cards when I start going through them, they're very whimsical and they're unlike any other deck that I've got. And the images just really intrigued me. I felt really drawn to the deck. So that is the reason that I purchased or backed this one on Kickstarter. Okay, the next prompt. What's your decision process when buying a deck? So my decision process, I'm going to say, is yeah, what I'm intending to use the deck for. If it is for a specific practice, or if it's just a deck that catches my eye and I enjoy the artwork. If it's just going to be an everyday deck, obviously that's difficult to know until you get the deck home and you start interviewing the deck or having a deck dialogue and finding out what the feel of the deck. So basically it really just depends on the practice that I'm going to be using it for, and also if I have anything similar in my collection. As mentioned, if it's just because I like the artwork and I just want to bring it into my collection, yeah, no, not so much anymore. When I first started my tarot journey in 2020, I wanted everything. I wanted to buy all the decks and all the colours and all the sizes and all the genres. But now I try to be a bit more, I can't think of the word because I'm having a brain fog. I'll put it on the screen. And so for that reason, I, as mentioned, try to think if I've got anything similar in my collection, because I don't want to bring in something that will then mean that I use another deck that I really enjoy using less. Hope that makes sense. Okay, what are deal breakers in a deck that keeps you from buying it? I would say pips in a deck. I'm not a big fan of pips in a deck. Pips with feelings, yeah. But I do tend to stay away from decks with pips. And then even decks that have been like renamed, the suits have been renamed in them, I find that takes me out of a reading when I have decks that are renamed. I mean, I can go with fire and earth and water and air, because obviously that relates to, for me, that's pretty much how I read anyway when I read tarot. But when we go with, I can't even think of an example, but when we go away from that kind of takes me out of the reading, because then I have to sit and think, wait a second, was this a pentacle or was it a sword? Or yeah, and I don't like that. So I tend to not gravitate towards those kind of decks anymore. And even, I'm going to say as well, for instance, I think it's the Spellcaster's Tarot that swaps air and fire. So like I feel that daggers are fire, and wait, what am I saying? And wands are air, and that wouldn't work for me either. So that I haven't bought that deck into my collection either for that reason. Okay, the next prompt is little white book or guidebook, and I'm going to say that depends on my mood. Sometimes I want a quick reading. I want to just be able to dip into a dinky white book or just read, you know, intuitively, or, you know, go with my knowledge of the tarot. And other times when I have a lot more time, or, you know, I really want to delve into the meaning of the card, then I want a real meaty, juicy guidebook. So I would say it really depends on how much time I've got and the mood I'm in. So I would say that, you know, a little white book or a deck that came with a proper guidebook, either wouldn't put me off. I would still purchase either. Wouldn't make a difference to me. For instance, this one didn't come with a guidebook, and I have no problem with that fact. I'm, you know, quite happy to use my knowledge of the tarot, and I feel this deck is going to be a very intuitive deck. I get that feeling. But I only received it yesterday, so I haven't done a deck dialogue as yet. That was difficult to say. Go on, Bennett. Good job, got my teeth in. Okay, the next prompt. Do you have new deck rituals? How do you break in a new deck? Okay, so I do have new deck rituals, as mentioned. I do, well, first, actually, when I first get a deck, I tend to cleanse it. I cleanse it with selenite overnight, and I even cleanse it with sound. Like, I have some bells which I use to cleanse a deck. And then I even cleanse it with incense. And then once I've done that, I obviously go through the cards, look at them individually, and then I have a really, really, really good shuffle of the cards. And then I kind of do like a prayer or intention over the card. Like, yeah, I'm going to call it a prayer or intention. And then after that, I do a deck dialogue, which I feel kind of, you know, helps me bond with the deck, and to obviously get a feel for what the deck wants to be used for, or I feel how it's going to work in my collection. So that was that prompt. Moving on to the next prompt. Have you ever felt disappointed after getting a deck because it looked or felt different than expected? Yes is the answer. And look at this. That was perfectly timed. That was not planned. That just happened. I do love it when a plan comes together. Okay, so yes, I have felt disappointed, and I'm going to say that this was my fault because I did not read the description properly. I did not read the campaign properly. This was a Kickstarter campaign that I backed. This is Mini Divi by Holly Audley. What's it called? Like oracle cards. They're called opposites. And I didn't read correctly the dimensions of the cards, and I didn't correctly read how many cards there were in this deck either. That was completely my own fault. So there's nobody else to blame but myself, because, you know, I need to pay more attention next time. So apart from that, so that was the only reason I was disappointed. Apart from that, I really enjoy these cards. I like the fact that there's, you know, opposites on the card: playful, serious, joy, sorrow. And so depending on how you draw the card on that day, yeah, it's obviously which direction you pull the card in, obviously how you read the card. Sorry for the noise going on. My cats are having a good old time as usual when I press record on a video. So yeah, apart from that, I really enjoy these cards. And as mentioned, that was completely my fault. Now I'm really worried that these weren't in frame when I started showing the cards. Apologies. So yes, lovely deck, but I did not read the description of the cards correctly. My fault, totally. Okay, the next prompt. Have you ever been pleasantly surprised by a deck after getting it? And the answer to that is yes. And that was this deck. This is the Rainbow Moon Tarot, also by Samantha West. Now, when I got this deck, I don't want to say I got it on a whim, because that's really, that feels a bit naughty. Or maybe it doesn't feel naughty. You know, it's my money. I'm an adult. I can buy what I want to. Anyway, I really enjoyed. I liked what I saw. I ordered it online, obviously, and I liked the look of the cards. And when I received the deck just blew me away. I've spoken about this deck several times in several different videos. Oh, look, the Tower card. And I find this deck so versatile. You know, sometimes you can get stuck not stuck, but you can kind of, you have a deck that you only use for a specific purpose. I find I kind of, you know, I'm going to say stuck, that's the wrong word, but I kind of get stuck in that behaviour that, you know, there's a deck that I possibly use for shadow work, and I would never use it as an everyday deck. I only use it for shadow work. Or a deck that I only use for ancestral work, and I wouldn't use it for anything else. I only use it for that. Whereas this deck, I've done, you know, shadow readings with it. I've done everyday readings with it. Yeah, I just find it really versatile, and I really enjoy the images. I've mentioned before, I'm not a major space fan, although I say that, I've gone and bought this one. So, you know, ignore what I say, because I'm just talking gibberish, basically. So this one really pleasantly surprised me. I pretty much use this every day. It just sings its messages to me. Yeah, I just really, really enjoy it. So that was the Rainbow Moon Tarot. And I love the gilding. It's a gorgeous. I mean, you know, who does not love rainbow gilding? Well, certainly not me. I love it. I think it's fantastic. Okay, next prompt. Do you ever buy decks for specific purposes? The answer to that is yes, most definitely. I'm going to show you 3 decks that I've bought. I've got to say, not the last 2 months. I'm going to hope that I can get all these in frame. Let's do this. Let's do this. And let's do this. I'm hoping you can see all of those now. This one, this is the Messages from the Heart of the Divine Oracle deck. This is the Wild Woman Oracle. And this is a French deck which is called Tarot of Strange Antlers or Strange Branches, depending on how you translate it. Let's see if I can do this. So these 3 I purchased to go together, to work together for a new practice I'm working on now. So yes, the answer to that question is yes, most definitely. Let's see if I can do this. I realise now that I've missed a prompt out, and that prompt was, do you interview new decks? Which I feel I covered in the other prompt. Yes, I most definitely do. I searched for deck interview spreads and come up with quite a few. I looked on Pinterest, and I looked even on Instagram, and I just Googled it. And then basically I just took the questions from all of those spreads that I found and combined them and made, you know, kind of made my own spread, I want to say. And I have 13 questions which I ask a new deck, or I have a dialogue with my deck using those questions to kind of, you know, bond with my deck a bit better and learn to decipher what, how, or where I feel the deck fits into my collection. Holy moly, that was a long answer, wasn't it? What do we think of that answer? Let me know in the comments. That was the worst unscripted answer I've ever given, I feel. Okay, now we're going to go back to the next prompt in order. Do you differentiate between decks you use for other people and decks you only use for yourself? Now, I'm going to say that I don't read for other people. I only read for myself. I have no ambition to read for anybody else either. You know, to become a professional or serious reader, not serious, but professional reader for others. I'm very happy just reading for myself. And it's my tool that I use for my inner reflection, self-reflection, shadow work, trauma release. Yeah, and I feel like therapy. I feel it is for me. That's definitely how I see tarot and oracle work within my practice. That's how I feel it works for me. The only deck I've used to read for other people, which is 2 people that I've read for previously, which were mother and daughter, was the Lightseers Tarot. And if there wasn't another reading that came up, that would be the only deck that I would use, to be honest, because I feel the characters are very relatable. The images are very, I don't want to say soft, but I want to say, I I don't want to say non-threatening, I don't mean it like that, but you know, like the Rider-Waite-Smith tarot deck has appeared in different films and television series throughout the years, and there's a certain stigma that's attached, I feel, to that. For people that don't know that deck and don't understand tarot, there's a stigma attached because they recognise those images and they associate it with those films or those series and those scenes that they've seen that deck in. So for me, the Lightseers Tarot is like a blank canvas, and that's the deck I would use. Oh my God, that was a really long answer. Sorry, I do apologise. Okay, let's move these out of the way and let's go on to the next prompt. What the next prompt is, what do you wish creators would stop doing or do more of? Okay, I'm just going to pop these out of the way because I've got another deck to show you. I think I've got actually two to show you. So I wish creators would stop using, what's this cardstock called? I think it's this rose petal cardstock. This is the Starchild Tarot. I think it's rose petal cardstock, and I wish they would stop using this. It feels beautiful. I mean, it's like, you know, it's like velvet. It's beautiful, but oh my God, it just like sticks. It's like I've put peanut butter between the layers and then stuck them together. They just do not want to come apart. And what's the word? Overhand shuffling. The cards all clump together. It's not a nice experience. I don't enjoy it. And unfortunately for that reason, this deck doesn't get used very often because, I mean, it's like trying to separate the cards. And I mean, you know, the problems that one has in life, wink, wink. I mean, that's no problem at all. That's you know, but when you want to use the cards and you want to shuffle them and you want to get a good reading, and you know you're fighting to get your cards apart, that's not fun, especially when you've got other great decks that you don't have that problem with, you know. So that for me is a bit of a shame. So this deck unfortunately sits, oh, we're back in order, how bizarre. This deck unfortunately sits on my tarot shelf, which is a real shame. So I do wish that creators would stop using just this type of cardstock for me. Let's do that. Okay, the next thing I wish they would stop doing, which is not a real big issue, but I wish they would not use a pregnant lady on the the Empress card. I wish there was, I have, let me think what deck it is. It is this deck. The Empress is, let's see if I can find her. Let's have a look here. If you could just amuse yourself just for a few seconds, I'd be very, very appreciative. Here. This is the French deck that I just showed you, the Tarot of Strange Antlers or Branches. This is the Empress in that deck, and this is not a pregnant person. However, that whole creation and abundance is being shown by this growth that's happening in front of her. And even the, you know, the branches that are, you know, are appearing here. And I think that's a really great depiction of the Empress card. You know, I wouldn't be put off by buying a deck because there is an Empress with a pregnant belly, but maybe for me, I've never wanted children. Maybe I'm oversharing now, but I've never wanted children. I don't have children, and that's my choice. So, you know, that kind of isn't relevant to me, the whole pregnant Empress. So I like this other depiction of growth in a different way. I really like that, the creativity and the growth. That was a long answer, but that was my answer. And then even the three of swords, I wish it wasn't so often a heart with the swords in the heart. I wish there was a bit of variation there, or more of a variation there. Then, as I mentioned before, the whole swapping names of suits, I'm not a big fan of that. I'm not, you know, I don't expect creators to stop doing that, because obviously there are people that enjoy that, but it's definitely a thing that I would not buy now. I wouldn't buy a deck that had swapped the names so that I had to, so it took me out of my reading. I have the Stoller Tarot, for instance, and the Stoller Tarot has, let me see if I can find the deck. Just give me 1 second. Luckily it was very nearby in my tarot cart, which I have here. Okay, so for instance, oh, look at this. You can see I'm not a professional. Let's do this. Let's do this so we can concentrate on this deck. So the balloons are the pentacles. The buckets are the cups, obviously. What have we got? And the brooms are the wands. And what are we missing? What have I said? We're missing something. What is it? Oh, the spoons are the swords. Now for me, I don't know why. Maybe it's because these are very, very Rider-Waite-Smith like. Maybe they're, you know, they're so like the Rider-Waite-Smith images that, you know, the change of suits doesn't bother me. I don't know. But this deck totally works for me in that way. That works perfectly. I can totally get behind that, you know, this is a cup. And this is a sword. And this is a pentacle. And what we're missing. Amuse yourself. And this is a sword. You know, I can totally get behind that in this deck. But then, for instance, in this deck, which was or is the She Tarot, this deck totally threw me every single time I got it out. There was, I feel it was Maker, Dancer, Dreamer, and something else. I can't remember. But every single time I laid out cards with this deck, I got taken out of the reading because I was thinking, wait a minute. What was the Dancer again? Was that water or was that air? And that totally ruined the reading for me. I had to go back to the guidebook every time. So for that reason, I lopped off all the borders and I lopped off the title of each card, and I just drew on what's this called? The numbers and the elemental symbols, and that solved the problem for me. So, you know, I don't. The prompt is, what would you wish creators would stop doing? I don't wish they would stop doing that. I just don't purchase those kind of decks anymore because I've kind of learned what does and what doesn't work for me. Was that a ramble? It felt like a ramble. This deck I showed in my modified decks video. If you'd like to go back and look at that, there's some other decks that I've also modified for different reasons, for various reasons, which is, you know, quite interesting to look at and maybe get a few ideas. Yeah, and as mentioned previously, I wish they'd stop doing it. I don't wish they'd stop doing it. I just don't buy those kind of decks anymore. Decks, as I mentioned, where creators swap the air and the fire suit, for instance. For instance, the Spellcaster Tarot. I wouldn't buy those kind of decks either. But that's just my personal preference. As mentioned, you know, creators can continue with that. I've just learned that those kind of things don't work for me, and therefore I don't purchase them. But obviously they work for other people, and that's all good and well, or well and good. What do we think? Are we done for this tag? I do believe we are. Let me just double check my super duper technical piece of paper here. So old school, it doesn't, you know, it's unbelievable. No, that's it, we're done. The prompts are answered. Yeah, I don't think I've got anything else to add. What say you? What do you wish creators would or would not do? Actually, I'm going to add one more thing actually to that. I'm going to add, I wish that, actually I don't think it's creators, I think it's like the publishers. I wish they would stop adding that really hard gilding to cards. And now I'm thinking like the Shadowland Tarot, that kind of gilding. I bought that deck, I would say it's got to be 2 years ago now. And I used it 2 years ago for a couple of readings, and I didn't like the way it shuffled because of the gilding. I felt the gilding was too hard. And I still haven't lopped off the gilding yet because I'm I'm kind of in two minds as to possibly sell on that deck or rehome that deck. So I wish in some ways, and I feel it is the gilding that stops me from using that deck, because I think the artwork is really cute. So I do wish that publishers, or I don't think it's creators, would stop putting on that hard, tough gilding on cards. God, I'm so demanding, aren't I? Goodness me. So there we are. We are almost at the end of this, of the deck, and we are most definitely at the end of the video. So I'm going to say thank you so much for watching. Lovely to have you here. Thank you for clicking and stopping, and I'd really much appreciate it if you'd like to like and subscribe. Have a lovely morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are in the world. Take care, and I really hope to see you in the next video. Bye.